there are different concepts that we can pull as we're going through looking at active thinking. You can determine the barrier that a student might be having on test taking. So is the barrier for a student the actual test itself, meaning they're overwhelmed or stressed about a lengthy question? Is it a particular vocabulary? Is it being able to read a data chart? So having the kids go through and actively think out coding, marking up the text, and explaining why they're justifying answers, why an answer is correct or incorrect, we're going to identify where they need that additional support. It could be vocabulary support. They're not sure of the clarification of a terminology. They don't know how to read the data chart. They don't know how to find the question. What information is important. So there's lots of things that we can pull out having the kids do that. It also helps them get more comfortable as they're test taking. They get used to what the questions are going to look like. They get more comfortable with the application of the science. And it just helps also slow our kids down. They feel so pressed for time. And sometimes, especially our AGP kids, they rush through those tests. They're very confident, and we want that confidence, but we want them to be confident and correct as they're going through. So that active thinking requires their brains to slow down because they have to think through each process. So active thinking is a strategy where we have our students kind of show what's going on in their mind. And as an educator, there are multiple purposes for this. One of those purposes would be, of course, to help students select the correct answer. The second reason is we can see all of those misconceptions, maybe some barriers that they're having, some unfinished learning. And another great reason is that some of our students just rush through the quiz. And when they do that, it also slows them down by actively thinking out or justifying their answer choices. So it's really important that we model the strategies for active thinking as we're going through the process so kids can see exactly what your expectations are and clarify your goal. So a lot of times you can use the active thinking at the beginning of class. You can pull a mini assessment that students have already previewed and maybe weren't as successful as you would like them to be. And so you can model how that active thinking can increase their knowledge and possibility of getting the question right. Or you can just use a ticket out the door that are embedded in Canvas. There are multiple opportunities where questions are provided for you. So the key would be to model that. You can use, like I said, at the beginning of class. You can do it at the end of class. Maybe use that STEM time if you're not sure what to do with it. So that's kind of what I would recommend.
To answer this question, refer to the night sky observation passage, which meaning I should read this. Rebecca and Tristan were observing the eastern night sky. Shortly after the sunset one night in January, they saw a full moon. They were also excited to see the brightest star in the night sky, Sirius. They recorded their observations in their science notebooks. I'm gonna also circle full moon because that's a specific. Rebecca and Tristan decided to make observations of the night sky every week for a year. They kept their observations in their science notebooks. Rebecca was recording the phase of the moon 3 weeks after starting the journal. Their first night, a full moon was recorded. What phase of the moon was the night sky 3 weeks later? Well, I know that if a full rotation of the moon phases is 7 days, which is also a week. So it goes from new to first quarter, then to full, then to last, which is basically slash the third. And she started at the full moon, and it was 3 weeks, which is 7 days, which is 1 week. So 3 of them. So it was first week, then we go second week, and third week. So it would be the first quarter moon.
So many times when we're doing the active thinking, the kids are writing on the text piece, so you may not be able to catch it right away. So as they turn those active thinking papers in, you're going to want to read over them and address any of the misconceptions that might come up of why they may have missed the question, and not just the answer to that question, but like sometimes we want them to explain if the correct answer is B, but on A, they really go off on a tangent and have all kinds of misunderstandings there. That's a big clue that at that point in time, I want to stop, make sure I pull that student aside either in a small group or in my lesson if it's something across the board where a lot of kids are missing it, that I want to stop. It's also great if you're having kids model the active thinking in front of their peers, because that think aloud process that students go through, being able to see that in their peer, sometimes they can catch it and have that conversation with each other to be able to correct any errors or clarify thinking. Because sometimes it's not necessarily wrong, it's just they're not real clear on the concept. So talking it through or verbalizing it out, either in writing or verbalizing it, they'll be able to catch that and clarify their thinking. And as a teacher, you can see that in their writing or in their speaking.